Yes. Shout out to all my niggas that fuck out the leg part of their basketball shorts. That's how you know a nigga really wanted that pussy. Like, I don't even want to take these off. I want that shit now. Like, I'm hooping. Let's get it. Let me cross that pussy over. Did y'all see that lady get crossed over in the WNBA, y'all? That shit was hilarious. They not used to that shit, though, so they were just like, oh, poor lady. I'm like, no, that's what's supposed to happen, nigga. Somebody get dunked on. Y'all ready to keep this show rolling? Yes. Hey, this next comedian, very hilarious. You guys can catch her on HBO Max. Start clapping right now for the Ashley Ray, y'all.
When it comes to my bass, swing it out, baby.
Oh my gosh, hello! Hey. I'm so excited to be here. I love LA personally. I'm so glad to be home. I was just in Boston this morning. Ooh, yeah. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you because here's the thing about me. And you know what? This is gonna be intimate. This is a safe space. I'm deciding, and I'm gonna share something with you about me. I know that I have bad taste in men and bad taste in general because I am attracted to Boston accents. Yeah, no, I like real, like thick, like I don't mean like your Harvard boys. Okay, I mean like your Back Bay, like your Quincy. I mean like just like so thick, like your pocket. I'm not gonna do the accent because that's appropriation. Okay, you're not gonna get me canceled today. Okay, but like oh my God, I like them so Boston. Like they just stopped saying the word faggot like 2 months ago because their daughter begged them. Like that's how Boston I like it. I'm polyamorous, which is a word I'm not gonna define in Los Angeles. I think you know what I'm talking about, okay? So like I'm polyamorous, and I actually reached a point. I had an Italian Boston boyfriend and an Irish Boston boyfriend, because I like to date a diverse range of scumbags, is what that is. But no, it's a perfectly fine place. But so a few of you have been there, sounds like. I'm gonna ask this question: have you ever noticed this? Have you ever noticed this about Boston? Have you ever noticed that Irish guys from Boston say nigger like this, but Italian guys from Boston say nigga like this? Have you ever noticed that? It's a joke about how Boston's racist. No, I'm happy to be back in LA. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have been dealing with like a pretty horrible roommate situation in my life the past couple of months, and it's made me think so much about like what white privilege is and what white women can do with it. You know, like I always knew that there was like a level of crazy white woman that I hadn't yet experienced, but then I lived with like one of those white women where like you have to go make sure she turned the oven off after she goes to work, even though she's a grown woman. Like one of those white women where you have to like after they leave you have to go make sure they actually lock the door, you know? You guys familiar? No, none of you have ever had to experience. Okay, so I'm reporting new news to you. Okay, I'm telling you about a new type of person you didn't even know existed. Okay. Whew, get ready. Okay, like people are always like, Ashley, she can't be that bad. So what could you possibly talk about? Like what, here's my example of like what the intensity is. Like she's one of these white ladies who says things like, I wasn't radicalized until I learned about Elizabeth Warren. Like, so like with that framing, like, okay, you remember the 2020 election, black women saved you, you're welcome, thanks. Yeah, that was me. You remember that election, you know, there was the debates with Biden and Trump, and I did not watch because I gave up a long time ago. Like there was no new information coming to me in that debate. I did not need to tune in. She, on the other hand, is like glued to the TV. She's like pacing back and forth in our living room. She's like guzzling wine. She's like pulling her hair out like she's watching like a title fight, okay? Like she's just like, oh my God, Trump said this. And then you look at the TV and it's like Biden with drool coming out of his mouth and his eyes full of blood. And she's just like, I can't stand this. I gotta open a door. I need some air. And she opens the door, and we do have windows, but she opens the door. And I'm like, okay, girlie, live your life. I'm going to go watch 90 Day Fiancé and smoke weed because I'm cool. That's what I'm going to do in my room. Bye. And I leave. And in the morning, I get up, I go in the living room, and everything is just as she had left it. Like, the bottle of wine is still there. Like, the glass is there. The TV is still on, and our door is still wide open. Like, her keys are there. Like, she hadn't gone. Like, and I'm like, is this a Taken situation? Am I calling Liam Neeson? Was this a Left Behind thing? And I was not raptured. And it turns out she was a way better person than I thought. Shit. And no, she just like, she comes out, she wakes up, she like comes out of her room. She's like, good morning. What's up? I'm like, bitch, our door is wide open. I'm like, you left it open all night, girl. This isn't even like when you just leave it unlocked. This was ajar. This was open. Like, anyone could have come. We live in LA. This is the city of the Night Ripper. Ma'am, what are you doing? And she's like, Ashley, after the pressure of the election, this is really hostile. You're being very aggressive with me. She's like, Ashley, look, I believe Black Lives Matter. There's no reason for you to take this tone. I'm like, what about my Black life mattering in this apartment? What about my possessions mattering? So that was just a new level of white privilege that I hadn't really experienced from a white woman. Like, I know what white men can do, right? Like, I watch the news, okay? I was watching the news lately. They were talking about this guy who, like, killed someone. He killed a lady. And the news anchor was talking about other times he'd been arrested. He's like, he'd previously been arrested for evading a speeding ticket. He'd previously been arrested for masturbating at a McDonald's for 9 hours. Now to Susan with the weather. Over to you, Susan. And they just went to Susan with the weather. I didn't have a million fucking questions. I'm sorry. Like, some of you weren't that shocked by that news. Some of you are a little like, no, I know my McDonald's masturbator, actually. He usually clocks in 5 hours, so I'm a little impressed that this guy put in a full work day, I guess. I'm sorry, that's a 9 to 5, you guys. Like, that, like, okay, it's like, what did he order to sit there that long? It's, okay, like, there was a crew there in the morning, right? And they served him his hash browns or whatever. And then that crew clocked out. And a new crew clocked in. And they were like, I don't fucking get paid enough. Like 9 hours, that's 9 hours. Okay, okay, this is actually my theory. I believe maybe there's a McDonald's Book of World Records. You know, like the grossest shit that's ever happened at McDonald's. Like this McDonald's, like, we have the longest hair in a fish fillet. You know, like, we have the most disgusting chicken nugget. And that day, that McDonald's was like, let's fucking go for it. Longest in McDonald's masturbator right here, right now, baby. And as soon as they hit 9 hours, they were like, we have got to call the police. It's just like, you know, like, I'm black, I'm a woman, I'm gay. You knew because my shoes are sensible flannel, okay. You know, and so, like, for me, I don't think I can masturbate in a McDonald's for, like, 2 hours before someone will call the police, right? Like, I think I could give myself 2 hours. I'm, like, kind of cute, right? I think they'd be like, you know, to give her some time. Like, okay, you all seem to disagree. You're like, no, girlie, you're a weirdo. You're getting 30 minutes and they're kicking you out. Okay. It's just, I don't know, maybe that's how we need to start thinking about privilege in this country a little bit. Like, have you ever asked yourself how long you could masturbate in a McDonald's? No? Okay, okay. Because I'm looking around this room and I'm seeing, like, some people who could, like, definitely put in a lot of time. Like, Mr. White Privilege in the bag. And I'm seeing, like, some people who, like, you know, I can tell from your cool dreadlocks and asymmetrical haircuts, like, you wouldn't even have time to find ethical porn on Tumblr before you'd get kicked out. And that's not my America. No. I don't know. I just think, like, my experience with privilege is so different even from that of, like, other black people, black men, you know, specifically. I'm also gonna do an R. Kelly joke. So thank you for warming that up. Let's just pile it on. Let's just keep going with it. You guys loved it the first time. So we're just gonna keep hammering it home. I think so much about like what you can accomplish with your privilege, and when I think of black men and their privilege, R. Kelly does come to mind. And I want to backtrack to something that is true. He cannot read or write. He can't. Look, I'm from Chicago, okay? In Chicago, we know everything about R. Kelly. It's like mandatory to take a class on him, mostly as a public warning, okay? You know, and so most people know he's in prison right now. He's in jail, as he should be. He did horrific things. He ran this horrible organization across multiple states. He should be in prison. He was also arrested under the same charges, the same federal RICO charges they used to arrest Al Capone. Al Capone, a criminal mastermind. Do you know how long it took them to get Al Capone? 7 years. Do you know how long it took them to get R. Kelly? 35 years. Al Capone was a criminal mastermind who had the power of the mafia across 7 states. R. Kelly did not even have the power of the alphabet. I'm sorry, it's just, I'm pretty sure if like I told you, oh my God, they got Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, he was running this criminal sex gang like all across Florida. And also, Jeffrey Epstein did not know remedial math. You'd be a little like, how do you do it? How do you pull that off? Like, I'm sorry, like, it took 35 years. And for most of that time, he had to rely on voice-to-text technology. Is just my thing. Is like the level of privilege that takes. I'm sorry, I know the R. Kelly jokes, and it makes people uncomfortable. People always like, you shouldn't make fun of adult literacy. I know. I just did a lot, but I know. Okay, I know. But like, okay, no one has had more access, privilege, opportunity to learn how to fucking read, okay, than R. Kelly. And I know it's a serious subject. My own grandmother didn't learn how to read until she was 88 years old. 88 years old. My little grandma, she'd go down to the library in her little town, and she learned how to read. Yeah. And R. Kelly, no one has had more money, opportunity, wealth, access. No one has spent as much time outside of high schools. There it is. I'm Ashley Ray.
Like what else should a brother do?
Yeah, y'all give it up for Ashley Ray.